And we are here live on another Tuesday evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I am your host for this evening. I am Dale Quigley. Of course, we are here. We are talking about inspirational stories and inspirational people. And my guest tonight is no different. She is, I mean, I've gotten to know this lovely lady for the last few years. She is absolutely a doll. I love her to death. And we're going to talk about her story, her journey, and why she is inspiring people each and every day with her just being present in front of you, beside you. Like I said, we got one hell of a show for you this evening. Right now, I just like to talk about a few things. You know what's going on here. Uh, you know, uh, you know, when it comes to people suffering from cancer, it hits home for me each and every time because I lost my dad in 2005 to cancer, and it's just. But when it comes to children, because my dad was such a huge activist towards children's cancer. Like him and his good friend Randy used to do a kids' Christmas party every year. Bringing families presents and stuff like that for kids who are suffering. The sad part was, you see these kids and you don't even know if they were going to be around to see Christmas the following year. So, when I hear about these kids who are suffering from cancer, like Dan Klass's daughter Shaylee, who we continue to pray for each and every day. Of course, our good friend Andrew Perrin, Tim Reha, Chris Fleming, and so many others. But for the last little bit right now, you see the QR code on the screen, folks. We've been praying for little William Bowden, who is only 17 months old and he is dealing with cancer. This little boy right here, he is so precious, so cute, so full of life. And the family is going through such a hard time. It's hard as a parent to even think about having to fight these battles with cancer with your youngest child. So right now, I want the Seeking by peeps to say a prayer for this little boy, William Bowden, and just hope that he gets through this. I, reading through his GoFundMe page, he's got 2 years of going through treatments and everything to just help him. But we all know that he's going to be a strong little boy once this is all over. So just take a second. If you can help out the family, please. The QR code is on the screen. If not, just please share it out, because somebody out there can definitely help this little boy. But most of all, let's just say a little prayer for little William. It is it is heartbreaking, and we are going to make sure that we pray hard enough that he makes it through. So thank you for that. So, like every show, I like to start it off with either a poem or a song or something that truly inspires me. And I think I've read this one already, but this one, I look at this every day because it is who a lot of who we are who are watching the show and who are about positivity and stuff like that. So it says, I now wear my scars just like tattoos because I'm so proud of what they put me through. I've learned without a doubt every mark that makes you feel worthless can give you purpose. And now I wear my scars just like tattoos. I'm a miracle. Every cut is proof. Another chapter written in the story of what could kill me. It made me something so brave. I wear them like tattoos. And that's the thing of people who go through stuff and who suffer from mental illness and been through abuse. Bad things happen to them in life, but they've never let it be define who they are. And my guest tonight is definitely somebody who has battled back from life's challenges and, you know, experiences that I don't think any of us would ever think we could put ourselves into. So right now, I want to introduce my good friend, a sweetheart of a woman. I'll tell you, every time I'm at an event with her and her amazing husband, it is it is an absolute blast because you know they are going to bring the best out of everybody. They make people smile. You could be having the worst day, but the moment you get around this lovely lady, you can't help but smile and enjoy life once again. So here she is, all the way, my friend, all the way from Michigan. This is Jamilah McKenzie.
Hey, hey. I'm
How's it
listening, wondering
going?
like I'm like, who is he talking about?
Oh,
Oh, wait a minute.
there is only one of you, and I'm sure your husband says, "Thank God."
He's so grateful there's only one of me. I don't know what he would do if there was more than one.
Oh my girl, how are you? I haven't been able to see you since we were at Potographs together,
Mm-hmm.
and I will tell you, we are going to get into your journey now. I mean, we met at the most famous Paracon of all. We met at the
That's right.
Michigan Paracon up in Sault
That's
Ste.
right.
Marie, Michigan.
That's right.
And once again, you are one of those people. The moment we met, it was like clicking
We were
with an
family.
old friend. I was like, and I think it all started over my chocolate bars.
I mean, yeah. You can't help but
How to
take
get to a
it.
woman's heart, of course, is with chocolate. But I'll tell you, just meeting you and Kevin, you guys are so amazing. You guys light up a room. You guys have so much fun at
Thank
each and
you.
every event. But at Potographs this year, first time I ever got to hear you speak, and your story tore me up. I was like, my God, how does this girl smile knowing what she has been through and why you are a motivational speaker now,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual coach. Like,
Yes.
my God, it is like, wow, life has dealt you a set of cards that
It
most people
has.
would have folded and says, nope, I'm out. But you said, watch this. I'm going to make this the best hand ever.
Listen, you can't have a testimony without a test.
Absolutely. I agree.
You know what I mean? So that's now I heard you reading a poem in the beginning, and in light of some of the things that have been going on in our world, if you would permit me, I'd like to read a small piece of Miss Maya Angelou since they removed her. We're going to
No,
give her
absolutely.
props.
This is your floor. You can say whatever it is you want. If you got something to read, I would appreciate that.
Okay, this is one of her most powerful poems, and it's called Still I Rise. And it says, "You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high. Still, I rise." And that's just a piece of it, but I encourage everybody, take a look. She is powerful. She has a voice. And when you're feeling a little low or you're feeling like you just can't, read Miss Maya, read her history, read what she's gone through.
Right.
And she became one of the most prolific people we have known, we have had the pleasure of knowing. So that's
Yeah,
how,
no.
yeah, that's one of the things that I do to get by. I look at some of the powerful people that came before me. My mother is 86. My aunt is will be 88 in a week, and they are some of the most powerful women that I know. They have lived through some of the most tumultuous times in our country. And my mother's a Tony nominated opera singer. My aunt was one of the first African American women to get a PhD in her field in the 70s.
Wow.
So I
That,
had
yeah.
a choice. I had to go through because I had
Y-
big shoes to fill. My
Uh,
ancestors would let me quit. And that's why.
and that's amazing. The accomplishments and the history
Yes.
even in your immediate family, but even the history altogether of it's the 70s weren't good to people of color.
Mm-mm.
And and to get a PhD in the 70s, like, that was probably a big unheard of
In
because
grant writing for government entities,
wow.
in education,
See,
okay, in
and
a good
that's
old boys
inspiring.
network.
And that's inspiring because, like I said,
Yes.
it's when you got that kind of shoes to fill, girl, and to see where you are today, it is truly inspiring. And like I said, I listened to your talk up at Potographs this year, and I was like, wow, I to know what you've been through, I couldn't even, I look at my journey and I bow down to people who I think, who lived a lot harder life than I did. And, going through life, and, it's unfortunate that a lot of people still believe we live in the early 1900s where people don't matter. We went through a lot, and so I'm going to give you this time to tell
Okay.
people your story, and especially if you can talk. Like, I never knew you were shot. Like,
I was. Yeah.
wow.
I
I like, and that was the part that got me the most. I was like, there is no way this girl went through that. And when you were talking up on that stage, I got to catch myself because
it's okay.
it's
It's okay.
like, my God, you are one of the most amazing people in the
Thank
world.
you, babe.
And to
Thank
think
you.
that you had to deal with that,
It's
like,
been a journey. It's been a journey.
so let's talk about who is Jamilah, and, you know, what gets you to where you are today?
Well, first of all, I am a mom. I'm a wife. I have three wonderful knuckleheaded kids who are who are all interesting and wonderful in their own star child way. I have like three bonus kids that I call my bonus kids, that I've had either help, been around their whole life or whatnot. So I'm very full and very privileged to be, shaper of souls, so to speak.
Right.
I, excuse me, daughter, of course. My mother, like I told you, was a Tony nominated opera singer, but my father was Malcolm X's bodyguard, which is how I got my name, Jamilah. I was supposed to
Wow,
be a boy.
damn,
Uh-huh.
you should just be you are a walking history. Your family
Yeah.
walking history. That is
Yep. And
awesome.
he actually was there when Malcolm was assassinated,
Oh,
and he broke one of the guy's ankles, and then he had to go into hiding. So my father he was a very intellectual man, very learned man. And so he became a pastor, a non-denominational Christian pastor. And that's where my ministry life began at that point. I before that, I was born in New York, and when I got to the reason I got to Detroit, which is where I was raised mostly, New York and Detroit, I got there because my mother. I got puppies. I'm sorry, they're
it's
they're
okay.
loud. I apologize.
I I love the sound of dogs barking. It's almost as soothing as children crying.
But my mother went overseas once, and my dad had me, and he just could not do my hair. So he brought me to my grandparents in Detroit. And then he ended up staying. And when my mother came out of touring, and when they stopped singing, because my father sang as well,
Oh,
when they
wow.
stopped singing, we came to Detroit, and that's where, we lived. And my mother also was a music teacher. She retired from the Board of Education in Detroit. But when I got here, I didn't talk like the other kids in the neighborhood because I came from New York, and we were on Broadway, so there were not a lot of other kids. So I didn't fit in
Right.
with the other African American kids, my people. I did not fit in. I was not, you know. But then when I went to see my aunt and there were, white kids and whatnot like that, I would get slurs. I'm an only child. So I had no friends here, no friends there, no brothers and sisters. And throughout my life, I realized that I found myself doing things, going places, making friendships that really were not me,
Right.
just so I wouldn't be alone,
Right.
you know. And, that was most of my teenage and young adult life. And then I was in the church with my dad and became a minister, whatnot. And I really, how can I say it? I loved my church life. I absolutely did. I love the community. I love to sing. You know that.
And you got a beautiful voice. We heard you at karaoke, and I was like, but now we know you get your singing from your mother and your father.
and
I'm
my
like,
grandmother and my grandfather and my aunt
so
and
now
my
we
great granddad.
know
It
now
goes
we
back.
know where the beautiful voice comes from. It's
It's
inherited.
ingrained. It's all the way in there. But I ended up understand that when my father had to go into hiding, he had to hide in the synagogues. He hid with the Seventh-day Adventists. He learned so much. So my father, even though he was a pastor, my dad was not a preacher. When you went to my dad's church, you had to go with a notebook. You had to be ready to learn because my dad was not playing any games. So I knew, he taught us like the Hebrew, the Aramaic, what the definitions were, how
Right.
the context. And I love that kind of learning. And one day one thing you will understand about the Black church, it is a pillar of the communities, of our
Right.
communities. It is a beautiful place of worship. It is a beautiful place of coming together. It is, where people get fed spiritually and physically.
Yeah.
It's also really wrought with misogyny and homophobia. And I didn't know that it was misogyny
Right.
and homophobia. I just knew that that didn't feel right to me,
Right.
along with some other things. And I'm grateful for my dad, even though he was my pastor. I went to him and I said, Daddy, I just feel like there's more. Yet in the church, a lot of times there is a fear doctrine. If you think of anything outside of the norm, it's considered you going to hell. You know,
That's right.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Thinking outside the
and
box only got you a one-way trip to hell. Yeah, I
just
agree.
and I went to Catholic school for a minute, so I got it on all kinds of ends. You know what I mean? So finally, I got the courage to tell my dad, I just feel like there's more, like I'm supposed to be doing something more. I
Right.
always, the prayer life is great. I just felt like I was supposed to be an active participant in my spiritual walk. Like I just could not sit back and just wait. Like I felt,
Right.
and then I'm like, why can't I love my best friend who happens to be gay? Like,
Right. Right.
my god brother, before he was taken from us, he was a gay man. And in church, I couldn't reconcile my love for my god brother versus, you know what I'm saying? So I asked him and he told me one of the things that set me free. He said, "It's okay. You just have a heart to serve."
Right.
And, that just released me not from what I believed, but it released me from the chains that I felt like I couldn't do anything else.
Right.
And during this time is when I got into it was November 29th, 1993, actually. And we were driving at the time. My oldest son, his name is Michael. It was me, his dad, and my best friend. And we were driving because we were going out that night and we had to go get our hair done. It was going to be a good time. And we got into a road rage incident. Somebody backed up. They started shooting. I turned around because my baby is in the back seat.
Right.
As I turned around, I got shot in the head.
Oh.
It broke. My daddy said I had a hard head. Of course, he did. And I have the fragments still to this day,
Well,
in my neck.
and that is crazy to even think about, because for the simple fact is, with today's day in medicine, look, we realize this was like they're over 30 years ago now, you know, but you think they would be able to go in nowadays and remove that. But,
It's
sorry to
close to
interrupt.
my spine.
Oh,
It, it's
okay.
it's right. It's on paper. I should not be here,
Right.
so I
But
don't
I'm
take
so
that for
glad you
granted.
are,
I
I,
don't take that for granted. On paper, I should not be here.
and it's by miracle. And, you know, the bigger picture is the universe had more in store for you. And to talk
Absolutely,
about your journey, this is the inspiring part, is something that should have taken you away from the world has given you a bigger purpose in this world.
absolutely. It took a while. It took a while.
Oh,
It wasn't immediate because you deal with the PTSD. You deal with the embarrassment of the PTSD. You deal with pain along with other health issues that I have, whatever. I don't like to claim them, but they're there. But,
well, I didn't ask
and
for them.
then
They just showed up.
they just, and then when you go to therapy, I did all I was supposed to do for the PTSD. But every time somebody found out I had PTSD, they would thank me for my service. And, while I appreciate that, that's not, you can't
Right.
treat all PTSD doesn't look the same. You know what I mean?
No,
So
no,
I didn't really,
it's,
I found some help,
yeah,
but and I
right,
found that my help came from helping other people.
right,
And, you know, I don't claim to be a therapist. I don't claim to have gone to school for anything.
right,
All I can tell people
right,
is what I've done. All I
right,
can tell people is that I understand, and this is what I've done.
right,
When I teach, when I speak, if you notice, every single time I've spoken, I give yep, we're going to do the motivational, the inspiring, but we also need to talk about practical steps. What can we do today? What can we
right,
start
yes,
doing today to
right,
at least, inch by inch is a cinch, yard by
right.
yard, we make it hard. So if we can just start something small, it gives us the ability to know, okay, I'm gonna be all right, and we're gonna be okay, and we're
You
gonna get
know,
through this.
and to add to your point is, these people who spend years in medical school learning and developing skills to try to help people who suffer from PTSD, any other type of other mental health issues. I always say the best people to teach are people who have been through it,
Yeah.
because they can understand what it's like to deal with somebody with PTSD, because they've been through it. To learn it from a textbook, find it great. We got some of the best schools in the world, some
That's
of the
right.
best doctors in the world. But the people who can really touch home with somebody who is suffering is somebody who has been in. Like I said, the best person to help a drug addict is a former drug addict.
Yes. And
You know?
PTSD shows up in so many ways,
Yeah.
in so many instances.
Right.
It's the person who's been through domestic abuse, it's the person who had an accident at work, it's the person who was in a car accident, it's the person who lost
Right.
a child.
Right.
All of these things can formulate it's post-traumatic
Yeah.
stress
Yeah.
disorder, and it's a real flipping thing, and you
Yeah.
never know what it's gonna. And I'll tell you honestly, it was I thought I had gotten to a specific place, you know And I want to say about 4 years ago, I had kind of a maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it just showed right back up, like
Right.
big time, to the point I don't really drive much anymore
Right.
because it's so chaotic. And when people, and the how I got shot is they pulled up on us,
Right.
and then they turned around and started following us, and they
Right.
started shooting at us, and the car was shot up, and then it
Wow.
came through the back window. If it had not come through the back window, I would not be here. They
Right.
kept trying to come on the side of us. And my son's father, shout out to Mike, he had the presence of mind to keep swerving,
Right.
and not let anybody get on the side of us. Video games come in handy. No, I'm just, you know,
There's a
but
reason why Gran Turismo is a great game.
baby, because Gen X, we raised on the video games. We are not playing about those games. But and it's so when I go visit people and there's heavy traffic, it's just not good for me,
Right.
you know. And
Yeah.
you get so embarrassed by it. It's like it's been 30 years,
You've
dude. You're
got nothing to
supposed
be
to be
embarrassed
over
about
this.
because, yeah, in your mind it's embarrassing, but to tell you, and I can understand about the whole driving thing. I was in a very bad car accident in '88. I went through the windshield of a car, and you
Holy
know, for me, I was always afraid to drive after that.
It's hard.
But my mentality switched to if somebody's going to kill me while driving, I'm going to be behind that wheel. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was just a freak accident. It was a rainy day and a guy being an asshole cut us off to a point our car spun out and it creamed a pole and actually pushed the engine inside the car.
Oh no.
And the seats ripped out of the floor and my head went, not my whole body went through, but my face. Like
Oh,
I
I'm so
saw
happy
pictures
you're
of,
here.
so so if you look at the windshield of the car, you can actually see where my face imprinted into the windshield. And yeah, I mean, now I'm definitely afraid to get into small cars because this happened in a small car.
Yeah.
I drive a big SUV because I am never going to buy a small little car
I don't
because
want
of
to be
that.
that close to the ground. I just don't. I don't want to be that close.
But yeah, so I mean, it's nothing to be embarrassed about because it's a trigger. It's like when you talk to people who's been through wars and suffer
Mhm.
from, like even if a car backfires, they tense up.
Yeah.
And
That actually
thunder.
happened to me. We were doing an event and one of the presenters popped a balloon and I wasn't ready,
Oh yeah,
and I just and it was in the playhouse, so it was hollow. So
right,
when she popped that balloon, it sounded like a hollow,
right,
you know, and it just I was no good for 2 days. Like I had to walk outside. I'm shaky,
right,
and so I say all that to say that when I tell people, when I'm coaching people, when I'm giving a reading, when I'm doing a lecture or whatever the case may be, and I tell them I get it.
right,
When I tell them it's not always going to be peaches, but you're going to make it through. When
right.
I tell them that they can do it because I know you can do it, because I can do it, and there's nothing different from me than from you. The same energy that created the universe dwells in all of us. We are all the
Absolutely.
same. And that's
Right,
one of the reasons why I do what I do the way I do it.
right,
I am a Christ centered tarot reading hoodoo practicing, you know, pagan. It doesn't
yeah,
matter because if
right,
we can understand that we have more things alike
right,
than we do different, I
right.
don't care what faith you're walking in. There are certain things that are going to be, you know, consistent through all of them. And if
Right.
I can be a stepping stone to bring more people together, to let more people know that they can make it, to let more people know that no matter what your faith you were brought up in or what you're doing now, it doesn't matter. You can still form your own path, your own way,
Right.
find your authentic self, find your
Right.
purpose, and live a fabulous effing life. Then
Right.
that's what I'm here to do. And so if I can get through my little 30-year PTSD and the fibro and the they tried to tell me I had lupus and I told them no, I don't. Nope. I do
Nope,
not.
I
I
didn't
can't
sign up
I
for
can't
that
do
one.
that.
Sorry, take that one back.
Take that
Take
one
that back
back.
here.
I have immune disorder issues though,
Right.
but if I can do it, we all can do it.
And it goes back to everything. Like you have to believe in yourself. You
That
have
part.
to believe you can overcome. You have to believe that you are not alone in this world. And that's the big one for me. I mean, suffering from severe depression and anxiety. I mean, I could be in a room full of 100 people and I'll still feel alone. But you
I've
have to
been there.
believe in yourself and you have to believe you can overcome whatever challenges life throws at you.
That's right.
I'm not a religious person. I grew up as Catholic, went through the whole Catholic school system and everything. But my belief is, and you can put this in either way. You could say God never puts things in your way that you cannot handle, or the universe won't ever put you in something you cannot handle. It's about life's tests. It's how we as energy, as Dustin Perry says it, we are energy in a human form, having human experiences.
You're spiritual
So
beings having a physical experience.
yes, and I mean
That's it.
you just have to realize that number one, you are not alone in this world. Even like in your situation, you're not the only person in this world to ever survive being shot
Nope.
because of road rage. But how many of those people are so down on themselves even this many years later? They don't trust people, they don't go out, they don't do. And here you took this really bad incident and you turned it into a huge positive, going, look, this will not define me. It might affect me, but it doesn't
Yeah.
define me.
Yeah. And I don't want you to think that it was without I've had I have had long, long, long battles with mental health.
Right.
I did try to take myself out of here before. I have been committed,
Now,
you
girl,
know.
we need to talk. You need to stop that shit.
No, this was a long time ago, but it
No.
happened,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed of it.
No. It's
It's the
who
test
you
that's part
are.
of my testimony, you know?
Right.
And I had to get to a point where I started to love me for me.
Right.
And that's what I work with people on is finding your authentic self because so often we find ourselves living other people's dreams. We are going through other people's tasks that we have then adopted to ourselves and we don't even realize, do I really want to be a lawyer or did my mama want me to be a lawyer?
Right.
Do
Right.
I
Yeah.
really want to do I really like motorcycles or did my ex like motorcycle? Like
Right. Right.
what do I want? And I had a young lady, uh, well, she was older than me. She was like 60 something or 70. And we were having one of the gatherings, or I was giving a lecture, or whatever it was. And I just happened to look at her and I asked her, what do you want? What do you, and she said, I don't, I don't even know. Because
Right.
she's been a mom so long.
Right.
She's been a wife so long.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? She doesn't know. She didn't know. And that broke my heart. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we have to find what fulfills us, what gives us purpose. And until we actually do that, until we figure out who we are on the inside, I got issues. I know I got issues. I love shenanigans. I got, I still tell fart jokes, and it's just, it is what it
Is
is.
this why you and
You know
Tim
what I
Shaw get
mean?
along so well?
You know, and so it's just one of those things where if we can understand who we are and love ourselves,
Right.
then that's what's most important. I'm sorry, my son is doing things, but um
It's all right.
that's what that's what I try to work with people do, to help them find their
Yeah.
most authentic selves, help them, realize that they're going to be okay, but first and foremost, to fall in love with themselves. My job is to hold up a mirror to show you how effing awesome you are. You already got what you need. We just got to find it and pull it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I mean that has
So
been the
that,
journey
yeah,
that
that
I've been on is I
come
mean,
sit with the
I
dog.
I had a really bad breakdown
Come sit
about
with the dogs, please. I'm sorry. Go
3 years
ahead.
ago. It's all right. But I had a really bad breakdown because I lost myself. I thought, I went through the whole nobody likes me, I'm worthless, I'll never become anything. And it wasn't until, I had this big, huge breakthrough. I found myself. I've been working on myself ever since because, like you
That's
said, people don't know who they are or what they want because I was such a people pleaser. I would bend over for everybody. Could care less if how I felt. I was
that's right.
always making sure everybody else around me was happy until a point when I was so unhappy that I broke down and I was actually going back to the dark space where I just wanted to end my life again. And I
Yeah.
thank God there was two amazing people in my life at that time, and they really helped me work and to find myself and to show me that I had this purpose, just like you are doing for so many people. And world needs a million others of you to help do this work because so many people are so
And that's
lost
why
and
we do
don't
it.
know how to do anything. But it all starts. You gotta, and I think this is where the pandemic really worked for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
People took it as a negative. I took it as a positive because it was able to give me to slow down,
True.
stop, and and realize, wow, what am I? What is my life purpose here?
Right. And
And
the thing about it is we are formulating a community.
yes,
And I believe that my purpose is to show other people how to spread their love. That sounded nasty, but you get my point.
right,
um,
uh,
but if I can teach you
yes,
how to recognize that in yourself, so then you can recognize it in other people. You know what I mean?
yes,
And
absolutely,
that's one of the reasons why I don't have a lot of coaching clients, because I don't want to create clients. I want to create other fabulous whole individuals that can
right,
then, when go and lift somebody else up. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like big
right,
pharma and not, treat the disease and just keep a patient for the
right,
duration of their life. It's not about, yes, I
yeah,
could easily go out and sign people up on 12-week programs, get them through that, and then put them on something else. And I just,
right. No,
that's not what
it
I want to do.
no, and and I can truly
Not there's
understand,
anything
and
wrong with
this is
that.
why.
I'm not
No,
knocking anybody who does. It's just not
right.
for me.
This is where I really understand you because going through all the counseling that I went through with the doctors for my depression and anxiety, to me, there was so much more to a point when I said, okay, I got to stop the pills because they don't make me feel good. I'm not getting any better. It was like I was feeling like a hamster on a wheel,
Yeah.
just running and running and running, but not getting anywhere. And it wasn't until I took it upon myself to start researching digging down deep into my soul, into figuring out why is it, what is it about depression that triggers? What are my depression triggers? What is my anxiety triggers? And learning those and learning steps on how to manage them, to keep
Yes.
them on the down low when I'm having my
Yes.
worst day. How do I get myself out of it? And it's better to give people tools than it
That's it.
is just to, here, do all this, you'll be better. Oh, by the way, take this pill. You'll be great. No, no, no. I tell people all the time, when I tell people and people realize I too have tried to commit suicide 3 times. And I said, I'm glad if I suck at something, it is taking my own life. But you know what?
I
It was because the
understand.
universe had a bigger pressure, had a
That's
bigger
right.
goal for me.
That's
And when I
right.
get up on stage and I tell people what I've been through, I've had so many people go, "Well, how'd you do it?" I dig down deep. I did research on, just like PTSD, depression affects us all in different ways. We all have
That's right.
different triggers. We all
That's
have,
right.
so if you learn about it, educate yourself, then it's only then you can help yourself. For the
That's
people
right.
that like the pills, great. I'm glad they work for you. Don't stop because we
If it
still
helps,
want you
don't
here.
stop.
Yeah, if it's helping, don't stop. But I
Right.
mean, for you and I, who created a journey, to created a path to figuring this out for ourselves, I feel I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor,
Mm-mm.
but I can tell people what worked for me. You can
Exactly.
try what worked for me, but I guarantee you it might not work because not everybody's built the same.
Exactly. And then the thing about it is that um I am a firm believer in therapy because it gives you, when you said doing research and things like that, it gives you tools. It gives you, ways to see things that you might not have thought. And then it gives you something to build on to research further. And you
Right.
talk about pills, they had me at one point on heavy, heavy stuff. And I'm sure you know this too. There's some that make the thoughts of self harm even worse. Some of the
Yeah.
pill until because sometimes the first pill you get on is not the right one,
Right.
So then you have to battle through that. And I was on 9 different things at one time. And when I tell you I was on heavy dose of Seroquel, Clonopin, Tramadol, Xanax, Adderall, like just, and I could not be a mom.
Right.
I just, I couldn't function. I was in a fog. I thought about taking myself out, and there is nobody, and I don't care who you are, there is nobody that can convince you that you suck better than yourself. There is
Absolutely.
nobody you're going to listen to more
Right.
than yourself. When
Right.
yourself tells you you ain't, okay, and that the world would be better, and
Yeah.
that life would be better, and that your kids would be better because you're bringing everybody down
Right.
and nothing you do is right. And look at where you are. If you were so smart, then why are you broke? Why are you broken? Why
Yeah.
are you? And it just over and over and over and over. And to be able to be here today after some of the horrible things I've said to myself, let alone what other people have said to me,
Right.
but to what I've said to myself, Dale,
Yeah.
is
No.
unforgivable.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
unforgivable.
You can tear and I've always said you can tear yourself apart a lot harder than somebody who truly hates you.
There's
We can
nothing like it.
destroy ourselves way harder. And and a lot of people don't realize that. It's like when people say you can be your own worst enemy, hell yeah, you can.
And it's hard. And the thing is, that's why one of the reasons I was so happy that I found a group of weirdos that thought like me, that felt like me, because, a lot of times when we are helping other people and because I know you can attest to this too, no matter how well adjusted you are, no matter how great you are, no matter how happy you are, there are those times where that little voice tries to come back, or there's a trigger, or there's something, and then you go, and you feel like I'm slipping. And I'm
Right.
I'm so grateful that I'm building a community,
Yes.
there's some things in the works. We actually have a event with Andrea Perrin coming up.
Yeah,
And one of the
absolutely.
reasons
I was just gonna, before the end of the show, I was gonna talk about this, but here it is, right here, folks.
yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we do this, is because every time we get together, the vibrations are raised.
Yes.
And it's more because we all do the paracons, we all do, and we find the same like minds at these places. And it's just one of those things where when we get together and we cry, and I mean ugly cry, Dale, like snot, like just,
Yeah,
and we
yeah, yeah.
cry, and we're vulnerable, and we're open, and we're honest, and we just become, and it makes it easier to deal with those times where that voice comes up, because you know that I can call somebody, or somebody else has been through it, or that there's a way out, because I've seen other people. If she can get shot in the head, try to kill herself, and we ain't gonna even talk about the abusive relationship when I was locked in the house and he killed the dog and wouldn't let me out, and the dog was on the basement stairs for
Jeez.
months decomposing. Okay,
Uh,
so if I can
oh,
go through, if we can go, if she can go through all of that
yeah.
while managing being a woman of color in northern rural Michigan, I can
It,
do this too. And that's all I care about at this point, is making more people that know, not perfect people. None of us are going to be completely well adjusted, because all of us are off our rockers. But
absolutely.
if we can make more people who at least are in love with themselves,
Right.
who at least are there unapologetic. I am unapologetically me. There has not been one time that you have met me that I have been anything other than who you see right here, right now. I refuse to, this is who I am. And if you can't handle it, I know I have a big personality. I got a big mouth. I talk. I make corny jokes. I'm my father's daughter. Okay. But this is who I am unapologetically. And I
Yeah.
have finally gotten to a point where I love her. She's not perfect, but we did this together, me and her. She's my highest and greatest self. You know what I mean? And we're constantly working. When you get in touch with your inner best friend, with your highest and greatest self, that is your soul's best friend. That is the connection that you have to the divine. When people say, and this is how I know that it's real, because everybody says something told me to turn left, and it's not something, it's your best friend that dwells inside you, that's trying to
Absolutely.
get your attention. And if we can
Right.
get in touch with her or him or them, then we can begin to move forward, begin to create a life that you can exist in happily,
Right.
healthy, and just be able to let that radiate to other people. And then it'll be like that old commercial, and so on and so on
So,
and so. Yeah, I dated myself, but it is
yeah.
what it
No,
is.
no, but you know what? And this is what you guys are creating. Like this mystical retreat weekend is doing just that, getting people to in touch with themselves, to appreciate who they are,
That's
to
right.
listen to yourself. How many stories do you hear where people feel a little bit off? They drive themselves to the hospital and the next thing you know, they're having a heart attack.
Yes.
Or, like you said, what tells you to turn left? And then the next thing you know, there's a big accident right
That's
there that
right.
just happens moments after you turn left. When you
That's
were
right.
thinking, oh, I'm going to go straight ahead, my God, that could have been me.
That could have been me.
Yeah, like this, where we really truly, or you meet somebody and you're like, for some reason, this person feels
I know you.
weird, off,
Yeah,
off,
I recognize that.
and you're like, then you find out, like, wow, that guy was a really horrible person. Like, he was out to do some really bad things. But then you meet people like I met you, and I'm like, the vibe is so good. You know each other for 5 minutes, but it feels like
That's
years, like to this point. And I said the same thing to Deb on Sunday. I don't know what life was ever like with Jamelia. Oh my
it's
gosh,
okay. Listen, I went
Jamelia.
to Tractor Supply and that chick called me Jeremiah. I said, Jeremiah,
Uh, but
you ain't even tried.
I don't even know what my life was like before I met you, because we've come so close and
That's
have
right.
so much fun. And I feel the same way about Deb. I feel the same way about Andrea, Valerie, Marie. Like I said, I think I met her. She looks familiar to me. I probably have,
You have.
but
She,
it's just
Marie
like
is
it.
one of those people. She is so. You ever have that one friend that you know is watching everything? Marie is one of those, and she will come and tap you. Okay, this ain't right. We gotta go now. Like she's the
Yeah,
nurturer. She is just,
yeah,
she's amazing. But it's so it's funny you say that because I think it's like 2018 is when I started meeting, you know,
yeah.
everybody, and I can't imagine my life without the people. And it's so weird because there are times we won't see each other for 6, 8 months at a time.
Right.
And then when we see each other, it's like we pick up right. And that's
Yeah,
how you know that is your soul family. That is the family that you chose. That is the family that
right,
was chosen for you. And
right.
that is the community that we are building because,
Yeah,
and I'm on a different note, that's one of the reasons why it hit me so hard when a lot of these issues came up and to see how some of the people that I thought I knew really felt about certain things and
right,
certain people.
right,
And usually I don't really care what people think.
right.
But in this instance, it broke me. It broke my heart. And that rarely ever. I'm sister cutoff. I can cut you off in a minute and it don't bother me at all. Like,
Right. Yeah,
if it's not supposed to be, it's not
you're
supposed to
just gonna
be.
walk the other way, and it's like, you know what?
But
Okay,
dang,
you go
Dale.
do you, and I'm gonna be over here doing me.
Yeah, but
Yeah, no,
this
it's
it was
I
bad. But I'm still here.
you sure are, and
Mm-hmm.
I tell a lot of people like the almost 2 years that I couldn't cross that border because of COVID was the hardest trying times of
Yes.
my life, because I couldn't be with my family, I couldn't be with my friends, I couldn't be over there hugging people. It was the worst 2 years of my life. And the first time we were allowed to cross over, and I went back to the Michigan Paracon up in Sault Ste.
Yes.
Marie, Michigan. The second I walked through those doors, I was, like you said, ugly crying, because I got to see everybody who I haven't seen in 2 years, and to hug somebody was it was like
Everything.
the biggest weight lifted off of my shoulders. So and like right now with the crap that's going on in the world right now, we won't talk about it, but just to say that we need more positivity right now and love, like we got to get a big sage stick out and sage this world because there's
That's
too
it.
much negativity going on right now.
And then think that's where we need to do better on creating more communities that are digital
Yeah,
when we can. Meetups, game nights like we used to do in COVID, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And COVID taught us how to stay connected when we can't see each other, you know?
absolutely.
And
Yes,
I encourage everybody to make sure that you're checking on people right now, because whether you know it or not, the things that are going on in the world, like you said, we won't necessarily discuss
right,
them,
right,
but on both sides, you have people that are seriously grieved, seriously mourning, seriously sad, seriously angry, seriously alone,
right,
and we need to check on them. We
right,
need to make sure, because sometimes I'm mad and I'm sad, you know,
right.
and so we need each other. We need to do that, and the more we do so, and the thing is, it's a spiritual exchange. You don't have to be in, somebody's physical presence to have a
Right.
spiritual exchange with them.
No,
And that's what we need to continue to do. We need to continue to raise our vibrations best way we can, because
absolutely. We need to create. We got to show the world is love and not hate, and we need more of you in this world. We need more Andreas. We need more Debs. We need more Valeries. We need all kinds of more light, more love because it is what we need. And yeah, check on your neighbors, check on your friends. You haven't heard from somebody in a while, you know what? Say hello. Like,
that's
there
right.
with social media nowadays, there is no way or
No
no
way.
excuse
No
reason why
reason.
you cannot just simply say hello, how you doing? Because
I'm
you know
thinking
what?
about you.
That right there will lighten somebody day. Like so many times I smile, I get a message from Deb or whoever going, hey, just checking in, see how you're doing, and
That's it.
I love that because it shows me that I've created a bond with people who truly love and care, and
That's
that's
it.
what it's all about.
There's
So
a
one
young
more
lady that I
time,
met that I have never that I've met. We met when we do Scarefest in Lexington, Kentucky.
yeah,
And I met her there, and she's a wrestler and stuff like that. And that's the only time we've met. And for some reason, she's like, I looked at her with her gorgeous self, and I just like my little sister. You know what I mean? Like
right,
she was just, and that was 2 years ago. We've seen each other once, but every time I think of her, I text her,
yeah,
because the universe will put people in your life, and they will connect you. So
right,
every time she runs across my mind real tough, I'll text her. I texted her the other day. She said, "Oh my God." And she's like, "I miss you so much." It's like you always know when to text. So if you're thinking of someone, if
there's a
someone
reason.
crosses your mind, if they've been on your mind for more than a day, that is the universe telling you it is your mandate to
Yep,
check on them.
that's
Let's
right.
be, you know,
Absolutely. So before I let you go, because this was the fastest hour, I just want to say thank you so much. I could spend probably another 4 more hours just
sorry about
talking
the
with you.
dogs.
No, like I said, dogs barking is just like a baby crying. It warms my heart. I love animals. So one more time, this is where
Yes,
you're going to be able to meet up with this fine lady, Andrea Perrin, in her only appearance this year that we know of because
that's
of
right.
what she's dealing with. So if you want to be a part of an amazing weekend, here it is right here. Uh, this is April 25th and 26th.
April 25th
Uh,
and 26th. And you can go to the page. If you look this up, we have an event page. And if you can't make it, but you need healing or
yeah,
or prayer or anything of that, we're going, well, mostly healing right now, because this is what has been mandated
yeah,
to us, to concentrate on healing.
yeah.
Let us know. Write it down. Come to the event page and make a post, because we're going to write them all down and put them in the healing circle. So if it's physical healing, if it's mental healing, if it's spiritual healing, just let us know. If you can make it even better, let us
Absolutely.
all love on each other, raise the vibration. Sometimes we just put on our pajamas and come back and have shenanigans. Like we have a whole I'm gonna do karaoke again,
Oh,
So
I, and I told Deb, I really hope that by some miracle I will be able to make it there. But as the way things stand right now,
yeah,
I will not, and it hurts me to say that
I
I
know.
won't be there because to be in the room with you people, my
Yeah.
family, my friends, my heart, my loves, it's gonna hurt knowing that I'm this close but yet so far away.
And for
S
all the people who think it's just for women,
It's not.
there's a
No, it
whole
is for
boys
everybody.
club. There's a whole shenanigan field boys club that we will talk about later, but the boys get together too.
But so yeah, this is April 25th and 26th,
Yes.
Lakeside Resort Conference Center, right there in beautiful Holt Lake, Michigan.
Yes.
Go to this phone number that you see on the screen. That's 989-422-4000.
Yes.
Contact and get yourself the package. It gets you the whole weekend,
The whole
your
weekend.
room, your breakfast, and you get to be around some of the most amazing people. Like I said, anybody who's going to be new to coming to this, you're going to walk in a stranger, you're going to walk out with a whole new family by the end of this weekend. And you're going to have a whole new set of tools, confidence,
Yes.
and a whole perspective on why you are so important to this world and the
If you've
love you're
never
going to
seen
receive.
true love in action, this is it.
Absolutely. I agree with
This
you.
is true love in action.
Real time, right there in your face. It's going to smack you so hard in the face. And like I
Literally,
said,
people say that, Dale. It's funny you said that. People walk in and say, "Oh, what is that?"
right,
That's how powerful things can be
right.
there. I know y'all think I'm crazy. I mean, I am, but not about this.
It's a good crazy.
It's a
It's a
good
wonderful
crazy.
crazy. So thank you so much for taking the
Thank you
time out
for
of your
having
busy
me, babe.
schedule. You are my dearest friend. I love you. I tell give Kevin a big hug and don't forget to
I
slap him on the
will.
ass for me.
I will. Right. This is
uh,
from Dale.
this is from Dale. Here it comes. Um,
Only if you do the same thing for John
I will.
Michael John.
I'll smack that boy in the ass any day. Uh, but yeah, I appreciate you. I love you,
I love you
people.
more.
This is my good friend Jamilah McKenzie. Please look her up on Facebook. Head out
Yes,
to Mystical Retreat Weekend, April 25th and 26th. You can feel what this love and energy is all about. In the meantime,
you'll love
folks,
it.
you are in for one hell of a treat. This lovely lady, you are so special. You are so
Thank you,
kind. And
baby.
I'm so appreciative that you are doing what you're doing, bringing positivity, bringing light, bringing love. And for all the crap you've been through, I thank God you are here every day because I
Appreciate
think
you.
my life would be boring without you. And I do mean
Same
that.
here. And I wouldn't listen. You are what you eat, and you give me the best chocolate, which is why I have such great skin.
Absolutely. I got to mail you some because if I don't see you, I don't want you looking flush.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I will, because I might be sleeping on your couch at some point. You never know.
Like I said, you and Kevin and all your wonderful kids are more than welcome to cross that border. We will
Yes,
welcome you with open arms and a big, huge Canadian maple syrup pancake.
that's right. That's right.
All right,
Love all
folks,
my Canadian brothers and sisters.
that's gonna do it
Much
for
love.
us. Thank you. Enjoy, everybody. In the meantime, know just how important you are. You matter. You are loved, and no matter what, be kind to one another. We need love in this world, not hate.
That's right.
So thank you. Have a good night, everybody. We will be
Good
back
night.
again next week.